The melody drifted through the glass, a rhythmic, joyous chorus that echoed against the workshop walls. Bolt stood at the window, his gaze fixed on the house across the street. Balloons bobbed in the breeze. Children raced across the lawn, their laughter sharp and bright. Bolt tapped his finger against the pane, a steady, metallic click that matched the ticking of the room. He watched a child lean over a cake, eyes closed, breath held. He wanted that moment. He wanted the heat of the flame and the wish that followed. He turned away, his internal processors whirring as he faced the center of the room. Professor Maple stood hunched over a massive, grinding gear, his tools moving with practiced, relentless precision. "Professor," Bolt said, his voice a flat, synthesized tone. "Do robots have birthdays?" The professor did not look up. A wrench tightened a bolt, the sound echoing like a gunshot. The gear groaned and clicked into place. "Robots are built, Bolt, not born," the professor replied, his voice devoid of sentiment. Bolt looked down at his own palms. The light in his chest dimmed, shifting from a bright, alert white to a dull, flickering amber. He stayed still, the silence of the workshop rushing in to fill the space where the music had been. A sudden, violent tremor shook the floor. The clockwork machine behind them roared, a sound like grinding tectonic plates. Sparks showered the workbench as a blue portal ripped through the air, creating a vacuum that dragged everything toward its center. Bolt reached for a support beam, but the force was absolute. He was yanked off his feet and pulled into a vortex of spinning gears and blinding light. Gravity vanished. Then he hit hard, his metal frame jarring against soft, purple ground. He sat up, his sensors recalibrating. Above him, giant, translucent balloons drifted through a shimmering, violet sky. There was no workshop here, only the scent of sugar and static. A girl bounced over on spring-loaded boots, landing with a metallic clang. She brandished a glowing wrench with practiced ease. "You are in celebration land," she said, tilting her head. "But the birthday star is missing, and no one can celebrate." Bolt looked at her, then at the horizon where the sky pulsed with fading light. He stood up, his chest light pulsing in synchronization with the air. A purpose had replaced his emptiness. "Where do we start?" he asked. The ground beneath them grew steep and jagged. They climbed past the forest of singing candles, where the flames flickered in dying, rhythmic gasps. At the summit of Shadow Mountain, the air turned thin and tasted of burnt ozone. The terrain was not rock, but piled scrap and rusted debris that groaned under their weight. Bolt kept his gaze forward, his sensors locked on a massive shape huddled against the peak. It was Grizzle. He was a mountain of iron, his joints fused with oxidation, his frame twice the size of Bolt. He sat motionless, but his hands were tight, shielding a pulsating golden light that bled through his fingers like liquid fire. The star. It beat in time with a frantic, uneven pulse. Grizzle shifted, and the entire summit shuddered. He turned slowly, his head joints shrieking in protest. When he spoke, the sound was a low, guttural vibration that rippled through the ground and up into Bolt's own chassis. "I was never celebrated," Grizzle rumbled, the words heavy with decades of stagnation. "So, I took it." The golden light flared, casting long, sharp shadows across the peak. Bolt stood his ground, the wind whistling through the gaps in his plating. The air crackled with static, and the proximity of the star made his own internal circuits whine in response. Bolt ignored the tremor in his own limbs. He stepped forward, the metal of his feet crunching into the rusted debris of the peak. He did not raise his hands or prepare a weapon. Instead, he reached out and placed his palm against the cold, pitted surface of Grizzle's arm. The touch was deliberate, grounding the static that danced between them. "Neither was I," Bolt said, his voice level against the howling wind. Grizzle froze. The erratic pulse of the star beneath his grip began to slow, syncing with the steady, rhythmic beat of Bolt's own chest light. The resentment that had kept the giant rigid for so long began to drain away, replaced by the simple, heavy weight of being heard. Sophie saw the shift. She swung her wrench in a wide, precise arc, striking the air. A shockwave of pure energy rippled outward. The star flared. It was no longer a trapped, dying ember, but a supernova of gold. It ignited the mountain, turning the jagged scrap into shimmering light. Confetti erupted from the ground, swirling upward in a golden vortex that drowned out the shadows. The sky above opened, reflecting the brilliance of the peak. The entire land hummed with a new, vibrant frequency, and the long frozen silence of the mountain finally shattered into a chorus of color. The air shimmered and folded, pulling inward until Professor Maple stepped through the tear in space. He carried a small, circular base topped with 2 flickering candles. He set the cake down on a flat piece of debris between the 2 robots. The crowd gathered, their voices rising in a rhythmic, celebratory song that echoed across the transformed peak. As the melody peaked, Bolt and Grizzle leaned forward, their cooling fans cycling as they exhaled together. The flames vanished, leaving thin trails of smoke curling into the golden air. The star pulsed once, casting a final, vibrant wave of color over the land. Then, the scene shifted. The workshop returned, quiet and familiar. Professor Maple reached out and placed a tiny, pointed cap onto the top of Bolt's head. "The day I built you was the best day of my life," the professor said, his hands lingering on the metal casing. "That was your birthday." Bolt reached up and nudged the cap until it sat level. His chest light shifted from a frantic flicker to a warm, steady amber glow. He looked at his hands, then at the professor, realizing that a birthday was not about the cake, but the moment 2 hearts found a reason to shine together.